invisible ink.
It's quite the thing, quite the sight to behold, and it looks like we're off here.
Yep, so we're seeing some divergence immediately. 2 of our runners went right to the sanctuary, and they're going to save and quit at different points too, so Gem's going to continue going on. GamerCal wants to see what's at Link's house.
Yep, Gem just going on, giving us a quick map check. It looked like the blue pendant at Terra, and 2 crystals in Desert, and an Eastern Palace, but none of them Pyramid Fairy crystal.
Yeah, so these are all relevant pieces of information. Now, we will need to get all 7 crystals in order to defeat Ganon, so the logic of the seed will be dependent on that, and every little bit of information early will help. Gem actually going to check the tree pole. Having not killed 4 enemies, that's tier 1, and those arrows are not super helpful, but good to know.
Yeah, arrows definitely a resource you can run low on, especially later in the game. It really kind of depends on how many of those arrow upgrade capacity upgrades, that's what they're called. Arrow capacity upgrades you're picking up. Even though you never want to see them, they can end up being quite helpful.
And I believe we just saw one at the Lumberjack Cave, some kind of capacity upgrade at least, so we're probably not going to be killing Aghanim for that reason. But we have a lot of divergence. We're going to check the library, nothing of importance there, as well as the Lost Woods.
Yeah, we really are going all over the place. It looks like problems from ACM-LM finally deciding to both make their way into Kakariko from the south here, so we're going to get some more information on that.
Looking like everybody's finding heart containers so far. Haven't seen any progression at all.
No, really nothing of importance yet. Sasrala also just hiding a couple of arrows, some bombs, and a heart container, I believe that was.
Ooh, but ACMLM pulls off the successful chicken clip. Unfortunately, it interfered a little bit with that bottle, but we will get the check sick kid right away.
Oh, that's a very fortunate find right in the beginning here. Just making their way through Kakariko, just a short way back to the sick kid. That really was one of the craziest chicken clips I've seen yet. I mean, that thing flew all over.
I mean, he had to throw it with force and with feeling, and through the door it went. We're already going to get a South Shore check as well. GamerCal is going to be the first one down there. Otherwise, Sick Kid not being too bountiful with just 20 bucks is lunch money.
Yeah, we really are not getting anything that's getting us anywhere. We're getting a bunch of resources, a little bit of money, some hearts, but so far we're looking for, you know, give us a couple of items here.
Well, we do get to see some great game knowledge from both ACMLM and Problems IRL. They are taking advantage of this hut here in the bottom left corner of Kakariko to pick up some bombs and farm them. You get 4 for every time you come in.
We see a blue tunic here in the drained little ditch outside of the dam. It's pretty alright to pick that up that early on in the game. Still no progression, but at least it'll protect you from those crabs that are coming up for Cal.
Yeah, every armor upgrade being very valuable when you don't have a lot of health to work with. So a lot of people would skip it, but I mean, no reason not to when you only have 5 hearts. Good to see some bomb strats, though.
Oh boy. Bombing himself into the abyss, but he got the mini mold on.
Oh, that was another armor upgrade in the well, so we will have red mail in the first 10 minutes.
Oh wow, that's crazy. There's finally a shield and powder. Okay, that really doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, and without a hammer or the requisite means of getting there the other way, won't be able to check Magic Bat with that. We do have a Cane of Burna and a book here in Mini Moldorm Cave, though. Those are exciting.
Alright, that finally opens up something at least, so we'll have to see if Blind's basement here has anything of worth for us, and otherwise it's going to be off to check the other places.
Yeah, speaking of that, we're already heading all the way down towards Ice Rod Cave for GamerCal. And potentially an opportunity to do a fake flipper on the way back, I would think. We don't have a Moon Pearl, so it's not as valuable for, say, Zora's domain area.
We saw ACM-LM just picking up the lamp in the back of Blind's hut. That was really the only useful item he got out of there, but no more dark rooms for these guys.
One handy thing about finding something like that is you know that your opponents don't have that potential edge over you if you're not great at dark rooms. So always a nice peace of mind thing. It evens out the playing field a bit.
Yeah, especially getting in this early on is always a little bit of a pleasant surprise, I would say.
You know, if you like lifting things, though, GamerCal, the first one to find that Power Glove in Ice Rod Cave, that's a bit of a detour for our runners to make here.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people will check that right now. It is quite a little bit of a walk over there. And a lot of people like to skip that, as well as a Guinness Cave.
Yeah, commonly figured as low percentage opportunities for items, but you know, when you have so few things showing up in the overworld so far, and nobody wants to dive into Eastern Palace without that bow. So all these options are, you know, viable. And is that a fire rod or an ice rod we just saw on GamerCal's screen?
Yeah, making the right choice here, going into the back of escape with the glove he just found. I'm not sure which rod he picked up, to be honest, but I'm sure we'll find out in a second as soon as he opens his menu. Oh, looked like fire according to chat, so that is a weapon, and a quite good one at that.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit before we can find some magic to refill with, and I think that's going to be the big thing for us to finish up Desert. That does make Desert possible, depending on if we're boots locked or not.
I do have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with what Cal found, just because I was hoping we'd get to see another Cane of Burner bomb land Molus, but it shall not be, I guess.
I think after the dream was realized in this spring tournament, there's only so much that the Rando Gods could give us.
Yeah, you're probably right. So ACMLM, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just saying ACMLM, the first one to pick up his red mail, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that some folks may think it's for cowards, but ACMLM thinks it's for champions today.
I mean, you can't go wrong if it's right there, right? And in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, something like that is more valuable to you the earlier you get it. Same thing with, you know, boots and, you know, sword upgrades. So very hard to turn something like that away here. Well, so we know that Desert today is going to be our green pendant. It almost kind of looks like Sahasrahla might have something important for us. I mean, everything seems to be pointing towards Desert.
Yeah, I mean, the choices are running low here for our guys. So we found a bunch of stuff, but really nothing that gets us to too many places other than Desert.
I suppose one alternative is potentially going up the mountain, but without the mirror or hookshot or hammer. Or Titan's gloves or Moon Pearl, that's a pretty risky thing to be going up there for when really there's only 2 locations you can even look at.
Yeah, it's it would be a play if you're a gambler, but I think with the competition these guys have today, I don't really see anyone going for a super crazy gamble.
Yeah, it seems like the thing you do last. And Gem's actually on the way towards Agina's cave, first one in there, probably pointing towards that desert play we were talking about. Something to note too, we don't have a lot of rupees right now.
Yeah, we are short on rupees a little bit. It looks like, I'm not sure if Gem has ever picked up the book, but if he hasn't, he's not going to Desert, and there's the save and quit. So that's a little bit unfortunate for him. I hope he does go to the South Shore next, and then also over to Ice Rock Cave, otherwise he'll be missing out on that glove for quite a while.
And I don't believe we've seen anybody attempt a fake flipper, so while that could be some information we could pick up, another thing too is interesting that we haven't seen anybody jump off the ledge over at Lake Hylia to see what's on that island. So a couple of missing pieces of information that none of our featured runners seem to have, although of course some of the other racers in the SRL you know, lineup may or may not have actually done so.
Yeah, we also only have information about these 4 guys on stream, obviously. We are in the SRL race room, but other than that, we don't know what people that are not featured on stream have or have not checked.
Ooh, ACMLM had a very close call there with that key rat in the escape sequence. Trying to go backwards to get the, you know, item back here. And there are a couple of items we can get in the overall escape sequence going all the way down to Zelda's cell, even though technically she's already saved. So pretty smart heads-up thing to remember now that we have that lamp.
Yeah, I quite like this. I mean, people like to put off escape a little bit, especially, you know, open mode kind of gives you that opportunity, really, to put off escape, and so people try to do it, but sometimes it's really worth it.
Well, we were mentioning before the fake flippers opportunity. Ooh, we're going to get a pedestal check from GamerCal, and it's just couch cash today.
Hey,
I mean, how often do you get to check it in the first 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's never a bad check if you're around here anyway. It's another piece of information, as we were saying earlier.
But perhaps this is the mountain climb for ACMLM, which will be a first person heading up there to turn in the old, or take the old man up to his roost and find out what he was perched on as far as an item goes. That'll be a pretty quick find there, but we're running out of spots to go. I'm surprised at how long we've delayed Desert for all these runners.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too, to be honest. I'm especially surprised, since we were talking about it earlier, that ACMLM is really doing the climb right now. It does unlock another save and quit spot, so it's not like a super waste of time or awful or anything. It's definitely not a bad play. It's just not one that I would have expected.
Well, those bombs, not exactly uplifting here on the mountain, but you raise a great point. Having that save and quit will make it much faster to get back up here. So the time was not wasted to spend climbing. It's just, you know, not a lot of things to do here. We'll find out real quickly, though, if ACMLM made some kind of genius 200 IQ play or just, you know, following the consequences heading up here anyway.
Yeah, we'll see if this turns into a galactic brain in a second or not. It's just a bunch of pieces of hearts lying up there on Spectacle Rock and in its cave.
Now I'm really wondering what's in Desert.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, looks like, ooh, ACMLM going over to Eastern and Sahasrara area, looks like, so still no Desert.
Did you happen to see what our uncle had today from Problems IRL?
Ooh, boy, no, I missed that. What did he have?
Well, just 11 minutes into the race, you know, the run can start. Problems IRL has picked up boots, and I believe the first one to do so. So that does open up a couple of locations in the overworld. It's also a really nice time advantage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Finding this, as well as with the mail upgrades you were mentioning earlier, the earlier you find it, the better. It's just the same truth for the boots.
Well, it appears Gem has caught the scent of the same progression. I'm hoping that that's, you know, going to be rewarded, because that's an easy place to forget when you're not doing standard mode.
Absolutely, and I have a feeling that these boots point us to Desert even more, which surprises me a lot. That, well, I mean, ACM doesn't have the boots yet, so it's fair for him to check over into Eastern.
I suppose this is now confirmed completable at this point. But Eastern it is for ACMLM. If Bo is not in, say, Desert and say it's in here, then there's still a chance you can complete this dungeon. That's a long shot, but a hook shot wouldn't hurt either.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense to go into the Crystal Dungeon over the Pendant Dungeon. You always want to avoid those if you can, but the way the seed is going, and it's the green pendant, which at the very least gets you Sahasrara's item as well.
Yeah, I believe GamerCal is the only one on our featured runners who knows that the pedestal's meaningless, so it may also be a opportunity to combine turning in that green pendant with doing Eastern. So if that ends up being possible due to the routing of Desert and Eastern, that'd be really advantageous for the runners who have put off going to Eastern, you know, thus far.
Yeah, 100%. We see problems here setting up his Death Warp. Oh, thankfully that wasn't Sankart, at least.
Shout out to that not being Sankart.
The one time you're happy not to find Sankart.
And it looks like Gem will be able to set up the same Death Warp pretty well too. Really shows how high level these runners are, is that they are really managing both their rupees, bombs, arrows, and health at all times. You know, they're always aware of how much they have of these things. Early in the game, usually it's bombs, but rupees and health, valuable too. And yeah, it seems like that's exactly what the plan is here.
Oh, Gem accidentally picking up a heart there while picking up the pawn. Not the worst, but since he also killed the green guard, he now has to bomb himself or just save and quit out.
If only we found the mirror there. That'd be the clutchest place.
Oh, it would be so great. And looks like Cal, the only one with a, well, not anymore, but a almost full magic meter, putting his fire rod to good use here, deciding, nope, I'm saving my bombs for all of this.
And there are still plenty of places in the world where we'll need bombs. A couple bomb jumps that we can take advantage of as well. So while we don't probably need to buy any more bombs going forward, it does help to, have a nice stack, on hand.
And speaking of the mirror you were just mentioning, Gem just managed to pick that up behind the little bonk rocks here, so boots definitely required.
And that's going to be really handy when we get to desert, if we're trying to traverse desert and kind of move around the doors nicely. Unfortunately, though, we can't take the Misery Mire side, or at least the portal from Misery Mire just yet. If we had Titan's Mitts, we could, and we could really route that even better, but definitely a good place to have it.
Yeah, certainly, and it also gets him a little further into, or up on Death Mountain here, so his Death Mountain play a little more fruitful, hopefully, than ACM's was.
Yeah, that will get us all the way to Hera, and Gem's gonna save and quit out of that, probably just trying to get that portal like we were talking about before. Would be a good time to be heading south, so it seems like, yeah, the writing's on the wall as far as this logic goes. It'd be silly to not kind of do the rest of the overworld south first.
Now, looks like we might be getting that Lake Hylia check you were mentioning earlier. Gem, the only one who decides, hey, I'm going to jump off here and figure out what's up there. $50, exactly, pretty exactly what he's missing for Sora, but...
Yeah, ain't that a kick in the head, or the water toes to the face.
Oh, and ACM finally making his way into Eastern. He does not have the boots, though. And his magic is empty, so there's no lighting any pots for him, at least for now. I'm sure you can find some magic in here somewhere.
Well, this could be hilarious if it ends up being, not boots locked, and then it just works out anyway.
Apparently someone picked up the bow and I managed to miss it.
Yeah, same here. I did not catch that. Well, a small key is promising.
I think it's on the desert ledge.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy times. But that's gonna hurt ACM a little bit seeing that bow up there because it was just in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, and while we won't have to spend all the time in the other rooms, it's just, a lot of time spent trying to get back there. And if he doesn't find those boots first, that's even worse.
I also just caught a quick glimpse of the last little bit of the Dark World map. Check, oh, there we go. We've got Crystal 6 in Ice, Crystal 5 in Turtle Rock, and the red pendant was down in Swamp. I didn't quite catch the blue. Oh, wait, they're both in Light Ward. Yeah, okay, we're fine. No pendant TT. What a surprise.
We also get another check of a tablet here. Gem finding out that it's just Couch Cash again here at the Ether Medallion, so that's not something we're coming back for.
Nope, just a bunch of Couch Cash stored everywhere. We've already gotten enough of that stuff in the beginning of the seed.
Ooh, Desert has the Titan's Mitts in the right half. GamerCal having picked that up, so that's... Wow, that's a lot of progression very quickly in this seed, all in one burst.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Well, it's almost like the vanilla upgrade. I mean, other side of the dungeon, a whole power higher, but,
It's close enough.
I do believe it is time for that scheduled mandatory coffee break, though, for two of our runners. The other two are covering them while they're on break.
Yeah, seems like it. Well, at least Gem seems to be setting that up, but Problems decides, nope, I'm carrying a pot around over my head because that's what I can do.
One industrious guy working through his break. Gotta applaud the guy.
Yeah, doesn't want to let those muscles cool off, Link's gonna have to do, or his little penguin, I should say, is gonna have to do a lot of walking around.
Well, it looks like GamerCal and ACMLM both having picked up their bows have a nice advantage for progression. This is one less thing they got to worry about for the rest of the race, and so it definitely seems to have paid off to have followed the paths that they have, but GamerCal with a market advantage having those boots. It's interesting to see the other two runners, Gem and Problems IRL, going up to Hera. We can complete it. It's not like we're missing anything here because we do have that fire rod. But it's definitely a place where you don't want to have to spend the whole time, and you have to go through the basement in this particular run through of it.
Yeah, I'm also a little bit surprised to see them go up here before desert, but, you know, these guys are a lot better than me, so I'm sure there's some reason behind their routing. It's just unfortunate that we've already seen from GamerCal that desert holds, like, you know, pretty much what you want.
Well, we do have an opportunity for Lamb Molus. I don't think we found both items here in desert. We found Titan's Mitts. Yeah, I think we still have an item here at Lamb Molus. This is a little bit of a scarier fight for having Fire Rod, just because we don't have really much of anything else we can use besides bombs.
Yeah, once you spend all your magic with that Fire Rod, the Cane of Burna is not going to help you either, so... Oh, man.
Oh, and of course the bow. I was missing that, I'm sorry, but I'm flabbergasted. A Moon Pearl.
Now watch Sahasrara give you something amazing for the green pendant as well, like a hammer or something.
Yeah, we gotta round out the hat trick here. Well, if you are a GamerCal fan, you are rejoicing right now. Fantastic news for this side of things. Remains to be seen when everybody else will go to desert, but I think everybody's going to be regretting not following the Seed's logic sooner.
Yeah, speaking of regretting checking places a little bit late, it looks like ACM finally picked up his boots, and Gem and Problems finally making their way into desert, so yeah, these guys are, with the exception of Cal, nobody's going to be too happy, I'm assuming.
Well, by the looks of things, the hopes for an Aghanim Seed are dying fast. We would need a hookshot or a hammer to complete all of our Dark World access. And barring that, we should be able to put that, monster to rest. Remains to be seen, though. That could be a 5-minute time loss for all of our runners.
Yeah, we'll really have to see. I mean, we already know that that we won't need the pedestal, so not finishing Tower of Hera was at least a good choice.
Alright, so ACMLM's finishing up his escape sequence. We have 2 runners in the desert right now. Gem's about to pick up those Titan's Mitts, and Problems IRL not far behind. GamerCal's going to be the first one to finish Eastern Palace, though, despite not being the first one in there.
Yeah, he decided to skip out on that earlier. He did check Sahasrara as far as I remember, but decided, nope, I'm not going into Eastern without being able to actually do anything in here.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's picked up a bottle at this point as well. We may have missed it on GamerCal's side for the first one, but that's going to be nice, some healthy amount of safeties. We got red mail, we have bottles, Burna. This is about as cozy as it's going to get, and we're close to 10 hearts for everybody, too.
Yeah, really, I mean, I'm definitely not worried for the safety of any of these guys. They're, as we mentioned in the beginning, they're all very high-quality runners. They know what they're doing, and with this amount of safeties, bunch of hearts, bottle, as we were mentioning, all that stuff. I don't think we're going to see a lot of deaths unless they want a death warp somewhere.
I am kind of curious as to how far into the seed we're going to see people diverging, trying to, I guess, metagame. One thing that, might not be apparently obvious to everybody watching, since we're only featuring 4 of the runners in the race, is that you do have potentially a dozen or more other people to consider, racing against. So you got to consider the moves that they would make too. You're always trying to, in this qualifier, position higher than other people. You just want to be not the slowest guy, basically, faster than as many people as possible to improve your chances. So every little bit of an edge counts.
Oh man, and Gem just saved and quit after grabbing the bow, so he's not picking up his green pendant, and as a result is also not going to pick up his Moon Pearl, which is going to come back to bite him in the butt very quickly. Oh, Problems, what are you doing? Are you doing the same? Oh my god, Problems. So we got 2 guys here deciding, nope, we don't want a Moon Pearl today.
Classic case of bad news bears.
Yep, that is gonna be a big ol' 1-up on the regret scale.
I'm kind of curious now what we're going to see in the Triforce room. If it's going to be like .done.comment, something funny like that. Because it's going to be like one of those races, I can tell.
Oh, did ACM do it too? So we've got 3 guys not finishing up Desert Palace and not picking up their Moon Pearl.
Oh, jeez. When it rains, it pours, I guess.
Oh boy, this is not great. I mean, they're all gonna grab their crystal from Eastern Palace and all the items that are in here, which I don't think are gonna be all that great from what we've seen so far.
You know, one potential saving grace is if we do find that flute, we could potentially take the back entrance of Desert from the Mire area. That might actually be convenient. But even then, still a time loss.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the one good thing for these guys is they'll eventually, and not too far in the future, just be stuck, not being able to do anything else. So, since they've already checked a whole lot of stuff in the light world, they have, you know, the decision of, do I finish the green pendant, which seems more attractive than going back to Hera and finishing up that. So I'm hoping it's not going to, you know, keep them for too long. It looks like ACM is already back in Desert.
Yeah, so that's going to be an ace move to make here. And GamerCal's capitalizing on the great choices, logically speaking. Already finishing up Eastern Palace here. Having a pretty good fast kill, maybe? That's a little delayed.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate, but still grabs his 20 rupee reward. Not great, but that first crystal at the 26-minute mark, I would say. Definitely nothing to scoff at.
Well, from this point, the world has opened up quite a lot, though. With the Titan's Mitts, we have all of West Dark World to access, and that means, you know, Village of Outcasts seems like the likely place to be. But GamerCal may end up trying a couple different locations. With that Moon Pearl, you can get into the Waterfall Cave, for example. And we have the rupees almost for Zora, but we're gonna check Sahazrula first.
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh no!
That is crazy. Alright, so Sahasrahla gives us the hook shot to complete, as you were saying, the hat trick of Desert Palace is an amazing dungeon this run.
Oh, let me just put it this way. Old man Sahasrahla just dropped his mixtape and his hook is fire.
Yeah, that, I'm at a loss for words, really. So that doesn't only open up, as we were saying, the whole left or west side of the Dark World. We can also now check out Death Mountain in the Light World and in the Dark World.
And I believe logically this makes Aghanim dead at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so if nothing else, that's great knowledge for GamerCal to have. Also, ACMLM putting down some real damage on this Lamolus with bow strats. That was a fast cycle. Also, GamerCal did pick up a sword.
Yeah, Cal grabbing his first sword at 27 minutes and 30 seconds roundabout, in the Dark World no less.
Well, Blue Goo from Paradox Cave, also a really nice thing to have. That's 3 bottles already, so we don't need really much of anything else beyond that as far as safeties go. But Blue Goo is really nice because if we don't have that half magic, there are a lot of places where we could benefit from having more magic meter.
Yeah, absolutely. And now GamerCal is also finally over that threshold for Zora, as well as a couple of our other players, obviously, but I'm really not sure if they're super inclined to go there yet, because with how much, especially Cal, has open to him right now, you know, doing a sequence break doesn't really seem necessary, I want to say.
Yeah, when you have so many things you can access in Logic, I mean, it's kind of hard-pressed to do that when you might just send yourself the wrong way. Alright, well, we do have a Spiral Cave check as well. That's going to be our Quake Medallion. Remains to be seen if the Bacon Coin is going to be useful for opening a dungeon yet. We haven't had a chance to see any of the dungeon entrances, and both of them are crystals, so we're going to need some kind of medallion.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cal is going to show us what Turtle Rock needs in just a second, after he's noting down what all the crystals are and stuff. Turtle Rock also a Pyramid Fairy crystal, which is important to note. Might come into play, we don't know yet, but there's 2 items to be had. We also see Gem finally making his way back into Desert, probably not very happy about all of this.
Yeah, at this point, you gotta feel pretty behind half an hour in, and you're only, Crystal's Eastern Palace that you already went to this dungeon to go get the bow for. It's a pretty rough, arrangement of affairs. But on the bright side, we'll get the green pendant, won't have much choice but to go right over to Sahasrahla, so, I mean, it should work out.
Yeah, hopefully he does that, because missing out on the hookshot for any amount of time now is just gonna be very unfortunate for everyone involved. It's not the end of the world, obviously. Ooh, there's Ether for a Total Rock entrance.
And thanks to having just picked up that hookshot, we're also able to check hookshot caves, so we're going to get a lot of item checks here very fast.
I also want to say, maybe I dreamt it, but I want to say that Cal picked up Ether Medallion and Super Bunny Cave.
I may have missed that.
I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I was just imagining things in my head. We'll have to wait for a menu, I guess.
Well, he's certainly blazing through the rest of this seed. Hard to keep up with all these item checks since a lot of doubling back, for most of our runners for the first half an hour in general.
Yeah, I had a bit of a weird start this seed, I would say. At first we didn't find anything, and then a progression bomb exploded all over us in Desert and shortly before it, I guess.
Looks like we do have a confirmation that we picked up Ether and Super Bunny, so 2/3 of the possibilities taken care of. Internal Rocks, one of them already squared away, so remains to be seen what Misery Mire will be. We need that flute before we can check that. Thankfully, that's all we need to check it, though.
Yeah, we have all the other prerequisites to get in there, or at least to get to there, so that's not bad. And Gem, oh boy, well, he does have the bow, so not too bad. Runs out of magic here, a little unfortunate, but he's finally going to be picking up his Moon Pearl. Just gonna add a little bit of insult to injury.
Some pretty nice bow shots to finish off that last cycle, though. I think I did see half magic at the Zora ledge. I don't know if anybody's gonna bother picking that up, but it's a pretty normal safety to want to have, at least.
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe if people put off the Zora check until they have flippers, they might. I don't think someone like Problems who just walked over there is gonna bother with coming back just for half magic.
Fair enough, fair enough. And if you're doing the water walk, there is a setup for a second water walk. Maybe someone will correct me, but there's a very complicated way to try and get all those things done at once. Without the fake flipper setup to get there, though, there's not much reason.
ACM is getting us our first check into not pendant Thief Town. So far, nothing really of importance yet. Cal making his way over into the back end of Skull Woods with a fire rod in hand. Not a bad choice.
And we get to see a somewhat rarely used ether in the Skull Woods. I was forgetting the word there. To take care of the Gibdos and the Stalfos, it's actually a very fast way to get through the room, relatively speaking, when you only have Fighter Sword.
Yeah, and with the full magic refill, Cal displaying some sweet game knowledge here. With a full magic refill behind this bombable wall, he didn't even really waste any magic.
Looking at the rest of Village of Outcasts, though, looks like Chess Game was a bust. We'll get the bombable hut here from Gem, and then, of course, C-shaped house will also be on the menu. So we'll find out all of those locations real quick here. I like the boldness of GamerCal here going into this Mothula fight with just Fighter Sword and Fire Rod. We do have a blue potion if necessary, but it's still very bold.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy fight, and at the very least, it's a very annoying fight if it gets out of hand. They do have plenty of safeties, as we were mentioning earlier, with the red mail and everything, so he shouldn't be too scared. But we'll have to see how it goes.
Looks like Problems IRL is going to be the last one to pick up the Moon Pearl here on our screen. I have to imagine, though, in SRL there are at least a few people who are further behind than what we see here.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely imagine so.
That being said, though, GamerCal here in a position to pick up that next crystal. Going to do it mostly with the Fighter Sword spins, and let's see if he knows how to do the tango with the spike arena.
Yeah, this fight is just... everything is horrible. The floor moves, the spike moves, the Mothula moves. If you hit Mothula when he's over a spike, he doesn't take damage. It's just a pain.
So far doing pretty well, although Mothula's being kind of a jerk.
Yeah, getting some nice hits in though. Ooh, and we see our second sword here of the seed on Gem side in the little cave south of the grove.
It would be fantastic if ACMLM finds one here at the Smiths, but today our Smith item will be a magic boomerang, the worst of the two in my opinion.
Absolutely.
It does have range though at the cost of lag. We will pick up that purple chest though. That's going to be a quick world tour for us to take on ACMLM's side. I'm probably going to try to get the other tablet along the way, or at least check it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be grabbing his first sword finally now as well in the same cave that Gem just picked his up, and then he'll probably deliver the purple chest and hopefully also check the tablet.
Well, is it a hype cave or is it a tripe cave? Not looking too great.
No, definitely not. Oh boy. Nope, that's no good. Can't really complain about a fire shield, but the rest...
As far as caves go, it's not my type of cave.
Yeah, definitely not.
Stumpy not being too generous either. I believe that was Sanctuary Heart, though, so that's something. I am eager to see what this chest has. I mean, I feel like with all the things we've seen so far, it has to be close to desert, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised, really.
Alright, just a big 20 for it, but, you know, there is worse money to be made in Hyrule for the time spent, so you know, you could just end up spending your money walking a much farther distance, which we did actually do a little bit ago for Zora, so not too many problems with the routing that we're seeing here from ACMLM, particularly because we get to check this tablet. And another couch cache.
Yeah, everything we can check with the book is not being too great today. Oh, and Gem is giving us a powder check here instead of picking up that purple chest.
Is that what we're calling this now, the powder room?
I mean, kind of, right?
If only we had a mirror in this room. Well, that would be cruel, actually, but thankfully we already found it. Just bombs today.
Yep, not too great.
Well, there's a lot of overworld places to go to. Our runners seem very intent, almost hellbent, to make sure that they're going to check as many overworld locations as they can before going into these dungeons. But there are a couple places we can go. I think the big missing question right now has got to be that hammer.
Yeah, I think the hammer is definitely the item that these guys are currently looking for. It's like the last little thing that they need to fully open up the seed.
But lacking that hammer, I'm trying to think of which way you'd want to go as a runner. I mean, you could go towards, you know, Palace of Darkness. You can't finish it. You can do Thieves Town, and that seems to be where Gem's mind is at. And there's a lot of item locations in here, so... But you can't finish everything if there's something in that basement.
Yeah, you do need the hammer to get to that big chest, so that's the reason I'm assuming that ACM dipped out earlier. I think he only checked the first 4 and then was like, nope, I'm not going further until I find that hammer.
Yeah, and of course, within those first 4 is always going to be a big key, and then you can still find dungeon items or one of the randomized locations. So it's very fast to do. You know, no reason not to take care of that right away. I agree with the reasoning. We'll see if something's buried deeper in the dungeon, though. We'll find that out pretty quick.
A lot of love so far.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed at the health counts on our screens. Top two runners, or at least the top two screens here, 13 hearts and then 11 hearts for the lower two runners. It's kind of insane for 40 minutes into the race.
Yeah, especially considering all the other stuff that they have as well. Like, you know, as you were mentioning earlier, 3 bottles by now in total found. One with the free blue goo, the red mail. We're definitely not too scared for our lives here.
Oh, Gem had the perfect setup for a Hellway dash. Unfortunately, RNG did not permit. Ooh, is Problems IRL gonna check the catfish today?
Looks like we're slowly but surely on our way there. I'm thinking he's... No, he's not. He's just killing that guy for funsies.
Sometimes it's not about getting the kill, it's about sending a message. Well, best of luck to ACMLM here, getting his fast kill on his Armos Knights. Looking pretty slick. Doesn't even fire an extra arrow into the wall. What a guy.
Yeah, very nicely done. Finally picking up his first crystal. Ooh.
Yikes.
Just a red rupee from the catfish. That's unfortunate, but can't fault him for trying.
Yeah, certainly something that's worth, you know, checking when you don't have a lot of things that... I mean, when you're looking for, like, something that, you know, like an advantage that you can get over your opponent, something they're not likely to check. Possibly a sign that Problems may feel a little bit behind.
Yeah, I mean, with how late he got back to Desert Palace and then Moon Pearl, he's still lacking a sword, and he only just finished up EP, more or less, so...
Well, Gem's going to find out in a moment here after this blind fight, which should be pretty straightforward with this many hearts, whether or not that basement is required, and that would be a sour note to end this dungeon on.
Yeah, that would be yet another double dip for him. Definitely not something you want to see, but it is what it is. We'll find out in a second.
So far, a very clean fight, though. This is, as we like to call, scripted, and being that it's going to be the same every single time you do it, as long as you do the same inputs. Very clean fight, not exactly perfect, but about as good as you can expect with Fighter Sword.
And it was yet another heart piece. We already saw 2 of those. I'm not sure if he picked up anything else in here, but that might have been the last item, so he might have been spared the leaving 1 item behind curse.
I did see 10 arrows in the upstairs portion, so that should be everything, I believe.
Alright, so that was pretty much useless, I would say. Save for the crystal, of course.
Yeah, always nice to knock those out. You know, when you have the ability to do so and you have the equipment you need, Thieves Town, for example, a really great place to only be doing it with Fighter Sword. You know, you might have some trouble with some of the enemies inside sometimes, but you don't need any kind of sword upgrade for blind. So very great time to be getting that done.
Speaking of sword upgrades, Gamercal just picking up his Master Sword, I believe the first one on stream here, and Problems just picking up his hook shot from Sahasrara for that green pendant, and immediately going over to Pod.
That's kind of tough to be doing swordless. Problems in a rough place overall. I mean, trying to get Kiki over there actually cannot afford to mess up once at this point. Or more than once.
Yeah, he really needs to get through here. Only has the hook shot to stun enemies, doesn't have anything to hurt them with. Or he does, but he's not using anything, but he makes it just fine.
Alright, we'll scrape by with just the 1 roop. We'll be able to go into Palace of Darkness first, so wouldn't it be awesome if he finds a vanilla hammer and catches an early progression break from these opponents of his?
Yeah, I would definitely be all for that.
At least we're always excited for stuff like that.
Oh man! Burn the witch!
I mean, it wasn't vanilla, but...
Yeah, close enough, right? So, alright, I'm pretty sure the Problems is very happy with the choice he just made. The thing that you always have to keep in mind while you're watching something like this is we have all the knowledge, but Problems has no idea what all of his opponents are doing or have been doing. Even though he just found that hammer and we know that it's great for him and he is, you know, he's put himself in a pretty good position considering where he was before. He has no time. For all he knows, everyone else could have already finished Pod by now.
Yeah, that's one thing that, you know, if you're just a watcher of this tournament and other tournaments, haven't really played a lot of like racing, or haven't raced this randomizer much, is you're always looking at that SRL, you know, looking for that dot done, even at times where it's kind of like ridiculous and early. Think somebody found something and just had the perfect configuration, or like halfway through the race you realize, oh wait, there was a way faster way to do this. Who's going to finish first? But you never know. I mean, that's the tough thing about racing.
Yeah, so I always say, whenever you're racing, you always feel behind. At least it is that way for me. There's no point in time where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm super ahead of everyone, because no matter how great it goes for me, I always think someone else did better.
Well, Palace of Darkness, very anticlimactic. That was a very fast hammer there, and that will give Problems impunity to go through the rest of this dungeon with no major issues. We don't technically need a sword for anything in here, so completable at this point.
Gem is also giving us a pretty nice Mothula fighter sword fight here. It's going a little worse for him than it did for Cal. The spikes are not quite cooperating the way he wants them to.
Yeah, as we mentioned before, Mothula cannot take damage when he's knocked into spikes, so Gem trying to take advantage of the center of the arena there to great effect, having finished off Mothula there, but that's a very frustrating fight.
Oh, Problems just picking up Cane of Samaria in the Dark Maze here in Pod after a beautiful hammer jump. And the flippers, oh boy, okay, so I guess Desert and Pod are MVP dungeons this seed.
Oh, the turntables. So that's a lot of things done in a row. Oh my goodness. And you may see people in chat blowing up about Aghanim being required, logically at least. Of course, our runners, if they know how to exploit certain, you know, certain glitches or certain sequence breaks, can get around some of these requirements. And that appears to be the situation here.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Although I'm wondering, which sequence break did we do to get out of that logic?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out myself, but I'm sure chat will educate us in a second here, because I'm really a little bit confused. We didn't really sequence break anything, did we?
I don't think so.
I guess technically we sequence broke up to Zora area. Did we find anything in the waterfall cave?
I don't think anybody's actually been there yet. That being said, folks, if we have the hook shot, we don't need to do that water walk from Skull Woods, so that's part of why I'm saying we didn't necessarily need to do Aghanim.
Yeah.
That being said, though, we are finishing up several of the same dungeons here. We'll get our first look at Helmasaur King on Problems IRL's screen, though, with pretty good equipment for it. Although you may have to be a pretty good shot with that bow to finish off the second phase.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think it's possible to get with hammer unless you have a sword to extend the hitbox, but I might be wrong on that one. I've never tried it.
And Cal is going to be the first one who actually decides to finish up Tower of Hera, so we'll see what all that is about.
Okay, I think I figured it out. Okay, so chat kind of got us on the right pace here. You can't hook shot from the left to the right. That was the reason that we needed to do Aghanim logically.
How did we get over there in the Dark World, or in the... Never mind, it doesn't matter. We just saw a sword upgrade from GamerCal from Tower of Hera, though, so not only is he the first one to have Master Sword, he's the first one to have Tempered Sword as well.
Oh, so you can do the hammer hits. I just thought it was too small of a window, but Problems IRL is going to get real close and personal to finish off this Helmsword King fight. That's a gutsy fight to try and do.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much of a choice here, seeing how he's out of arrows as well, but the hammer, you really basically have to stand in his face to hit him.
Well, made that look a lot easier than if I had tried it. Congratulations, Problems IRL, for pulling that off. Gets a big old 20 as a reward.
Yeah, very nicely done, and that finishes up Pot for us, which had a lot of stuff that opens up even more stuff.
Now the real question is, with all of those things, where do you go next?
That is indeed the question, and I'm thinking Problems will show us in a second. What do? I mean, really, there's a whole bunch of choices for him. The question is, which one is the best one?
Yeah, so it looks like that's what we missed, is that there's a water walk from Skullwood. So for those of you in chat wondering how do they get to Palace of Darkness, you can set up a glitch known as a water walk by dashing over the edge of a pit. You can do this in Skull Woods, and the game gets tricked into thinking that you're able to walk on water. You're able to persist that all the way to the east side of the Dark World, and then cross that river from that point.
Oh, right. Okay. Now I'm back on in the boat on the whole thing.
Ooh, it's time for Ice Palace, though, for Problems IRL. Yet another dungeon we haven't seen from anybody else here in this race. Another opportunity to get a big progression advantage. I gotta think Pod put him pretty far ahead as far as items go.
You know, and I really like this decision. At least I think his reasoning might be, hey, I'm gonna be picking up my first 5 and 6 crystal here in Ice Palace as well.
Looks like Jem found that hook shot at Sahasrahla 51 minutes in, probably a good 20 minutes after other racers. So not a very fun place to be, but I'm inclined to agree with you on Ice Palace. I'm curious, though, as to how much of the dungeon we'll see, because that Ice Palace bomb jump could make it possible to just go and get that crystal real fast. We're not missing that much that we need. I think pretty much just Ice Rod at this point.
Yeah, at least for no mode. I mean, Problem's still apparently missing all his medallions. We do know where they are, and that we need Ether for Total Rock, so that should really keep him for too long.
But this is one of the more fun dungeons to see in the Randomizer. Not only do we get to see some really awesome speed tech in general with the Ice Palace bomb jump, but there are a good 6 to 10, I think, bomb jumps that are useful in this dungeon that you can do if you're trying to navigate from pretty much any which direction. So we may see some pretty creative routing from all of these runners.
And Problem's still holding strong without any kind of sword here, just using his hookshot as well as he can. I personally also recently noticed that I have huge trouble setting up this bomb jump when I don't have a sword.
Yeah, sword buffer's no longer a thing in that situation. You can kind of punch the air, but it just ain't the same. I'm wondering how he's going to do this cold stare. I mean, he's going to have to use all of his magic to take out the shell, and then I guess we have a blue potion. That's probably the way.
I mean, there's really not much choice that he has. It's going to be a hammer cold stare, which is never fun, but really the only way he can do it, I think.
Of course, we could get proven wrong and find something really sweet in here, like another sword.
That will be our last sword. I wouldn't be opposed to that, just to finally give Problems a sword. But, yeah, who knows?
We have 4 different runners in 4 different corners of the world soon. GamerCal heading off, I believe, towards Palace of Darkness with the water walk, I think we might be doing next. There are a couple of items to check here in Northern Dark World. I don't think, well, someone else may have checked the Bumper Cave. I didn't catch that.
I don't think I saw it either, if anyone has checked it so far.
Well, there would be an opportunity to check it going east here. In the meantime, though, last couple of items to check here in Ice Palace, and Problem's not finding anything so far, it seems like.
Yeah, might turn out to be another dungeon that's only good for a crystal. I mean, it is a 5 or 6 crystal, but you do always hope for, you know, that last item that you're still looking for, or in Problem's case, the last few items.
That was, however, a pretty clutch location for the big key, if you wanted to check that big chest. Going to take a different route, though. I mentioned before, there's a lot of different ways to route this dungeon. I'm seeing a novel one every single time I watch a race, and this is no exception. Looks like Problem's heading to the iced tea room.
Yep, going backwards, so to speak. As you were saying, there's really not a forward or a backwards in this palace. It's just whatever you prefer, I guess.
One of the many reasons that I'm glad this is not the GBA version of the game, where they actually changed the dungeon and made it a little bit less convenient to try and do all this stuff. You can't actually do the same stuff based on the way that the dungeon was redesigned.
Yeah, I guess it's only more convenient in the vanilla way, so you don't have to make a bunch of loops.
By the looks of things, it was every item location in Ice Palace, and the last of them will be an item on Cold Stair, because we have seen that compass, big key, and map.
So Problems is going to be having a little bit of a problem here, no pun intended, if he can't, well, he should be fine with all the magic refills around here, but I was going to say if he can't fully refill his magic, he might have to waste his potion, which he thankfully doesn't have to now.
I mean, the pun can be intended.
Yeah, true.
But good point, though. You gotta have full magic in order to destroy that shell for Cold Stair, and Problems IRL very narrowly making that margin. I'm curious to see if it's gonna be an attempt to use magic with the blue potion, or if it's just gonna be straight hammers.
Looks like he's going to start out with a hammering, which is nice because they're all overlapping each other in the very beginning. So he got a triplet in there. Looks like he can keep him in the corner nicely. It's going pretty damn well for him so far, if I may say so.
Yeah, this fight can go a lot worse than it is right now. And it's deceptively difficult. The hammer has a very small hitbox and very close to Link, so with Cold Stair doing 4 hearts of damage to vanilla, green mail, and of course much less to red mail, this is still a pretty scary fight for anyone in any situation, and Problems IRL wrapping it up pretty smoothly there. Gonna get a fetch quest.
Oh boy.
Now, I mean, you get the shovel there. Do you go right for the grove? I mean, do you just dig it up immediately?
That's a good question. Depending on where I want to go next, dungeon-wise, maybe. Which is not an answer, I realize that, and I'm sorry for that, but I really can't say. Considering he hasn't bothered with checking the magic powder yet from the bat, I think he might not be too hot on checking the fetch quests.
Makes sense, makes sense. And of course, we know on our end that, of course, he has the time to do so, based on the progression advantage that going to Palace of Darkness early brought him. And of course, we do see Gem and GamerCal both on their way towards the same items. Gem has already picked up that hammer, and GamerCal shortly will. So that gap will narrow. It almost looks like he is heading towards that shovel location. No, heading towards a portal.
Oh yeah, looks like we're warping over to the Dark World here. I highly doubt we're going to check in the swamp. It's a possibility, but I will be very surprised to see that.
6 item locations, though. But you raise a good point, though. I mean, you really don't want to go into that pendant. So it looks like a lot of the Dark World overworld from the opposite direction for Problems, and a little bit of dungeon completion on the other ends of our screen. ACMLM has not finished up Hera. Looking to do so, it looks like, to kind of reduce all of the item locations down to absurdity. Not knowing where that hammer is, really looking to be kind of a pain in his side. You know, I don't care who you are, dead rocks are going to ruin your day. Gem has had a little bit of difficulty with dead rocks here. Hopefully no more difficulties for the rest of this race. I think everybody's dealt with enough dead rocks for one lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. I think you can be the best Zelda or a Link to the Past or a rando player in the whole universe, and these dead rocks are still going to ruin your day anytime. And it looks like Problems is really going to Swamp. I mean, those six item locations, as you were mentioning, they're not too shabby, but it is a pendant, yet again.
Well, it could pay off huge, I mean, twice. You know, it's something that you might not think your opponents would do. And that being said, I mean, besides the fact that it's a pendant, it's not like a bad decision inherently. Of course, we only find out at the end whether or not these locations have the items. But it is definitely something that is more of a pain to do if you're wrong.
Yeah, you just feel like you wasted a whole bunch of time if you don't get anything out of this. But as you were saying, it's certainly not a bad play or a wrong play or anything of that sort. It's just personal preference. Nobody knows where these items are hiding. And he already scored big with his pod play as the first player on stream, at least, to go into pod.
Well, as an interesting aside, Gem has opened up the Turtle Rock portal using that to get the information. We'll be finding the Ether shortly thereafter. I'm wondering if that would be... I mean, you'd have to mirror and then take the portal again, so maybe that'd be kind of annoying to do.
I mean, he could get in, and he does have the Cane of Samaria, so he could check some stuff out if he wanted to. Maybe he'll gamble on an Ice Rod in there?
Seeing as we haven't found it anywhere else, I mean, it seems as good a place as any to us, but who knows on his end. Well, ACMOM will be heading up to Aghanim, not doing the water walk to get to the east side, so of the featured runners, the only one to actually go to the Castle Tower.
Interesting choice by him. Can't really fault him. I mean, it's not a bad play, and he'll get to show us a little bit of his Aga Tower execution, which, you know, people kind of underestimate, I would say.
Yeah, ACMLM has run the game vanilla as a speed run, so definitely comfortable with this Castle Tower climb. You get to see some pretty nice speed tech in general. I was wondering for a moment there if he was going to, by muscle memory, try to preserve the prize pack from the guards, but obviously not relevant in Rando. Also, I don't think that Problems has done left side of Swamp. I think that was skipped, unless I missed that.
No, I believe you're right. I think he skipped out, and boom, there's the flute. All right, we're already paying off big time again.
Yep, everybody will be in this dungeon because Misery Miner is on the table, so... oh my goodness.
And this is yet another thing that can hold up runners for a long time, because as I was saying earlier, pendant dungeons, you try to not go into them if you don't absolutely have to, so it might not be a super high priority for any of these guys.
A priority will eventually be nonetheless, though. Kind of curious, without the sword... oh goodness, we're in for a few menus here.
Yeah, I think this is... I don't know if you guys want to count it or something, but this is going to be some menuing going on. At least he has a relatively nice menu where he only has to press down and left and right and up to go back and forth, but geez.
Yeah, you can absolutely have really weird inventory spaces where it's kind of hard to get to the right item, and that every little bit adds up a lot when you're doing 30 of them. I actually think it's kind of amazing to go a whole hour without finding any of these 3 swords.
Yeah, it's almost like he's purposely dodged them, because, I mean, they're not in the most convenient locations, but they're not in super out-of-the-way spots, and at least one of them should have been in his possession by now, I would think.
But I guess that speaks to jumping into dungeons when you know you're able to do it. If you've been practicing your swordless, I mean, this is a good example of where it can pay off.
Yeah, and considering the recent announcement of the fall tournament and that swordless is one of the categories you can choose to play, maybe he's gotten some swordless practice in.
I know I'm definitely going to, although to what avail, I'm not sure.
You know, you gotta try at least.
Got that right, and of course, folks, if you want to play a Link to the Past Randomizer, it's really easy to get involved in it too. Take a look at our Discord as well as the resources listed there if you want to, get started. It's pretty easy to jump into, and you can do it on your computer if you like.
Oh man, and this is the worst kind of Swamp Palace. Dropping a big key from Argus, so that means we're definitely going back. Might as well check the left side now that you're having to go back to the big chest.
Yeah, I'm a fan of not forgetting this item. I have lost the race myself in the past, having not remembered that there was a sword in the back of here. It's really easy if you skip any part of Swamp Palace to just say, you know what, I'm just gonna, leave. But doubling down on that, it's really hard to get back into the dungeon later. You always gotta finish it if you end up, diving to the back first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we did find 10 arrows, and even if we don't find anything, the peace of mind might be worth it. Although, let's just say someone happens to find flute as their go mode item, that could actually work out really well for somebody else.
Yeah, if someone really decides to put off Swamp for that long, if we can, and it happens to be his go mode item, that will save them a whole lot of time.
Some really nice hookshot strats here in Ice Palace for Gem, taking advantage of the fact that you can, completely negate all of the ice physics, and not only that, the Pen Gators get hit in one shot with it, so it's a pretty lethal weapon in this dungeon as well.
I think it's kind of fascinating, the damage table of the Pen Gators. They take damage from the weirdest stuff, and sometimes you feel like this item should instantly kill them, but it doesn't, but then poking them with a hookshot instantly kills them.
Though, I mean, there's some videos online about people talking about how deadly the hookshot itself is, and the fact that Link should probably never be able to use it. So, I mean, there's that to consider.
Yeah, that's a fair point, I guess.
Alright, so ACMLM, having finished up the Aghanim fight, finally getting to the East Dark World, now we'll end up into Palace of Darkness, and has quite a hill to climb. But we do have two of our runners in Ice Palace at the same time, and that's going to inevitably lead them, hopefully in their cases, to Swamp, but maybe not for a little bit.
Yeah, the thing is, at least, well, I guess for both Gem and Cal, Turtle Rock is still open, and with Ice Palace being finished sooner rather than later, that would enable them, if they can finish it, that they also check the Pyramid Fairy, so who knows if they really want to go to Swamp.
That's a good point. And left side was a complete bust, just a piece of heart and some kind of capacity upgrade, either bombs or arrows, but not very valuable. Problems here, running out of places trying to find some of these sword upgrades, I think. Not going to be able to get the tablet item here and going to find out what it is, but interesting to do that. I guess it's convenient, leaving Swamp.
Yeah, just another piece of information that's good to have in case you have to come back here once you do finally find those swords.
I gotta say, it's very strange to see two tempered swords, a master sword, and a swordless over an hour into this race.
Yeah, the sword divergence is pretty crazy. I mean, finally, Problems will be picking up his first sword an hour and 8 minutes in.
I mean, do we get any rage slashes? I feel like when you have the sword for the first time this late in the seed, you just gotta practice slash. No, cool under pressure.
Nope. He's probably just happy to finally have something to slash with so he can get that Skull Woods out of the way.
Yeah, folks, if you haven't, looked into the logic of the Link to the Past Randomizer, you do need a sword not just for Ganon, you need a Master Sword for Ganon, but you also need it to open up certain curtains and vines in the Hyrule Castle Tower, as well as... Okay, no Vanilla Flute. Oh wait, we already saw the flute. The vines and the curtains in Castle Tower and Skull Woods. So while our runners are kind of retracing each other's steps, great time to remind you, if you've been enjoying this race, and it's been a pretty wild ride as far as I can say, on the commentary side of things, give these runners a follow. They've put on a great show for you. And, if you want to see more Randomizer, they're great people to watch.
Yeah, I can only agree. They deserve all the support they can. Thanks a lot to them for letting us show them off on stream, so to speak.
I'm just glad it's not me. I would be embarrassing myself a lot. These runners are doing some pretty crazy stuff. I've seen swordless kills. I've seen, some pretty big sequence breaks. That water walk to East Dark World is pretty impressive. It takes a lot of knowledge to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. To even realize that this is what you need to do to get further into the seed instead of doing Aghanim. Also, a quick shout out here, Gem, the only one apparently who went back and picked up that half magic, which pays off big time here on the Cold Stare fight.
Yeah, it's a time save and a health save, and relatively low health finishing up that fight. So yeah, paid off is probably the best way to describe that. So we're running low on locations that we got to go to. The big dilemma I have to think in a lot of these runners' eyes is Turtle Rock or Swamp.
Yeah, I think that's really the decision to make. Gem might also be thinking about Tower of Hera still, because we do know that Moldorm has an item, but I think that's probably very low on his priority list.
Yeah, you kind of want to leave that and isolate that for the last. Though, I think, was the Gamer Cow was the only one, I think, who checked the pedestal?
So far, I believe, yeah.
That may end up being interesting later.
Yeah, considering in how many pendant dungeons they've already had to dip, they basically had to go into all of them. They didn't have to finish all of them, but it was kind of close enough,
Yeah, certainly worth a look if you're in the neighborhood. I'm a little bit disappointed in our runners today. Nobody did the sword beam strats on Cold Stare. If you didn't know, you can actually line up your fire rod shots with sword beams and do extra damage to the shell and preserve half of your magic. I recommend you guys try that out at home.
Yeah, I think that's a great strat, and it's always fun to watch because people usually don't know what's going on the first time they see it.
Of course, you have to have full health, so that's sometimes a wrench, but, fun to try.
And it looks like Gem decided to go into that Turtle Rock, so we do know that we need to dip in the swamp eventually for that flute, but the ice rock could very well still be in here.
That's the other conundrum, too, is having not found the ice rod in swamp. That may weigh on Problems IRL by the time that it's time to go to Turtle Rock, because in the remaining dungeons that he can access, we're not going to find that ice rod.
Yeah, considering Problems also hasn't picked up the medallions yet, he's definitely not feeling too great.
We do know, of course, that we will find that ether on the mountain, but you definitely want to find it before you go up the mountain. No one wants to do a second trip, so this could be a really gutsy decision moment coming up after Problems IRL's finished up this and Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to our crystals, though, Gem is very close to reducing it down to almost nothing to check. Turtle Rock, once that's completed, it'll be just finding that flute and getting to Mire. Same for Gamer Cow and, ACMLM. Despite the kind of big setbacks early on, Ice Palace can be completed pretty quickly, so not that far behind either.
Yeah, this could end up being a very close race, despite how it looked in the beginning and how all the things changed and the tables turned all the way throughout. We still really don't quite know.
Well, so far here in Turtle Rock, we have not found anything of critical value yet. I'm hoping for that Ice Rod on Chomps. I'm always hoping for Ice Rod on Chomps, but we'll find that out shortly. Still lots of locations to check in this dungeon.
Yeah, there's plenty of potential in here, and never forget about the Mimic Cave as well. Technically not part of the dungeon, I guess, but...
You'll definitely hear arguments both directions on that one. But I suppose for the purposes of going up the mountain, pretty much comboed together either way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes 2 runners heading into Turtle Rock. We're going to find out pretty quickly if this is a big play or a big, nay.
I like that.
Didn't really know where I was going with that one.
We barely noticed.
Hopefully our runners feel a little differently than I do. Feeling more confident in their decisions, but I can't imagine anyone feeling confident in going to Turtle Rock without Ice Rod, or even going up the mountain without that, without any medallions.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel good.
But these folks are in it for the long haul. They've got 4 qualifier races that they get to participate in, and they're going to make the most out of each opportunity. I mean, we've already seen Swordless, we've seen, you know, some pretty tough double backs, and I think we've only had 1 person in the entire race so far forfeit. Not anybody on screen, of course, but it does speak to everybody going for gold.
Yeah, everyone's in the race. So far, only 1 forfeit, as you said. Nobody has finished yet, so, you know, it's still anybody's race. And we're coming up on earlier mentioned Mimic Cave for Gem now. You know, there's still Laser Bridge, but it's slowly but surely getting a little not so great for item locations left over here for the Ice Rod to be.
I'm, like, somewhat convinced that nobody's checked Bumper Cave. And there's good reason not to. I mean, if you don't have the cape, you know, you don't want to spend the time, but it might just be the knowledge you need.
I think someone in chat mentioned earlier that I think Cal checked it. I definitely didn't see what was on it, but I think someone has checked it.
Well, speak of the cape, and the cape shall arrive. Gem has found the cape just past Mimic Cave.
Apparently, the Bumper Cave had a full heart.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, Laser Bridge looking likely, looking like a last desperate hope.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Laser Bridge, it's not in here, I would say. Unless we've got a broken seed.
Wouldn't that be the wildest thing?
I mean, after all the seed has given us, I would hope it isn't.
Yeah, you mean to imply that it wasn't broken in the first place?
No, this is perfectly normal rando logic. I don't know what you're talking about.
The beauty of Randomizer is we do get some pretty crazy enigmas of seeds, and this is no exception.
Alright, here we go. We've got a piece of heart that gives Gem a nice little refill here. Oh boy, it's a mushroom. There's a map, 1 more chest left. Gonna get rid of that annoying little red beetle there, and it's a compass. Womp womp. Out we go.
Well, with a little bit of Portobello, potentially finding something of value at the Witch's Hut, but even if it is the Ice Rod, I think it's bad.
The good thing for Gem here is he's doing the smart thing. He's jumping out here and leaving his portal there, so once he comes back with the Ice Rod, he can just jump down from the top and go right back in and be right in front of Trinex, so he doesn't have to make his way all the way through there again. Assuming he can get there without, you know, losing his portal in some way.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of people don't realize is that if you're not saving and quitting, if you're not warping to the Dark World, say if you were to use the flute, which Gem does not have, unfortunately, but if we find that Ice Rod, we could, exactly like you're saying, get a much faster route to the back of the dungeon. So that's something that every runner will look to do in this situation. Might not be able to do it for everybody, though.
Yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate for Gem. He's hoping that Moldorm will be holding the Ice Rod that he's looking for. We get a sword upgrade, which is not the worst reward to get, but this might be a problem. He might feel like he has to save and quit instead of walking all the way over to wherever he needs to go.
Oh problem is IRL finds the ice rod in Misery Meyer's shed.
Oh boy.
So Swamp was the play. Swamp was the cascading play.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Swamp it has to be for all these guys. Problems kind of, you know, improving his lead, I would say.
Yeah, the dam's broken loose. You know, waterfall of progression followed. Really found a way to flip this around. So now we get to do a one-shot through Turtle Rock. That will take us right to Misery Meyer immediately thereafter, and wow, what a swing!
Yeah, this has turned out to be a really crazy race, and especially for the 4 people that we have on stream here. I can't imagine it being any less crazy for anyone else, but just from what we've seen here, geez.
And of course, we know that, you know, Turtle Rock is not a very big difference between go mode and not go mode. It is nice to be able to kind of just run right through it again, not have to stop really for anything. But Gem falling to Moldorm will actually nope out of there, reconsidering that decision.
Yeah, he's going to go for the Spike Cave, Jack. That will be equally not as fruitful as he hopes it will be. He has picked up his Tempered Sword, though, so he must have killed Moldorm, right? Did he just not pick up the pendant, maybe?
Ah, that might have been the case, then. Dropping off the ledge to mirror out. That makes sense. Well, that actually worked out kind of favorably. Unfortunately, no silvers or anything, you know, time-saving here in Spike Cave, but nevertheless. Or, I think, honestly, I was talking to Elminster the other day. Maybe it should be called Cave of Burden.
I mean, that's not a bad name either, I think, but Spike Cave seems pretty descriptive considering what's in there.
Alright, so we picked up that mushroom in Turtle Rock. Gem here is going to turn that in. Some runners will actually save and quit into this section so that they can hard reset. I don't think Gem did, and with the powder, no real reason to preserve that mushroom anyway.
And sooner or later, with that 20 rupees there, he's gonna have to make his apparently not very well-liked dip into Swamp. I think that might be where he's going.
Yeah, I think with everything else in the world checked just about, writing's on the wall at this point. And just like that, Problems IRL having picked up the Master Sword, I believe that is now go mode.
Has he not picked up Quake? Apparently not.
Yeah, thankfully doesn't need it.
Oh yeah, I thought I saw earlier that Meyer was Quake, but apparently it's Ether too, so...
Interesting to see him head back to Misery Mire despite going up the mountain. It does make sense. You can now combo Turtle Rock with GT, but something that in a split-second decision some people might not do. I see a bird being preserved. Are we going to get a big day, you know, Walrus Prime style bird toss here?
I would certainly hope so. It's already landed here.
We believe in you, Problems.
Oh, he gets hit by it. Oh, man.
All right, but we still have 3 other opportunities for that bird toss, folks. So if you are a fan of the, I guess, 1 in 3 chances of that being a possibility, then, like I am, then, you know, hold on to your seats. You still have a chance.
All right, now Gem finally managing to go into Swamp Palace. I wonder if he will just nope straight out of it as soon as he grabs that flute, considering he still is looking for that ice rod.
Yeah, well, talk about a troll, though. I mean, you got to go all the way to the back of Swamp Palace just to get that flute, just to find it in Mire area. The one place that, you know, logically you were most constrained from. That's frustrating.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more annoying layouts that I've seen so far.
And it's produced a situation with 2 of our runners in Pendant Swamp at the same time, almost an hour and a half into the race. ACMLM's in Turtle Rock and Problems IRL and Misery Mire, but we know that ACMLM will have to double dip this, so as we were talking about before, Problems IRL has a pretty hefty advantage here in the featured races.
Yeah, at this point, I think the other featured racers are going to be pretty hard-pressed to catch up to Problems here. And Gem staying true to themselves, skipping the left side also, which could turn out to be good. We'll see if the flute that he finds soon will be enough for him.
So there are a couple of things to consider going into the last legs of this race. Problems doesn't have a tempered sword, and I haven't seen Problems IRL do a Master Sword Ganon. That's a pretty challenging fight, as well as all of Ganon's Tower. We could still find another sword there. I think we've only found 3 of the 4 of them, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that is one thing that could help him in Ganon's Tower, but otherwise, this is pretty much a straight execution race for our runners on the left, and then ACMLM will have to find that flute, but it definitely still has a window to kind of catch up a bit. With Master Sword, I'm kind of curious to see what kind of Vitreous kill we're going to get from Problems IRL today.
I would assume probably a bow kill. I have no idea or previous knowledge of how Problems likes to kill Vitreous, but I would personally choose the bow.
And I might be jinxing it, but I'm hoping that at least one of our runners today will show us some spooky tech. That's right, folks. If you haven't seen it, then you may not see it today because it's kind of a complicated glitch to set up. But there is a minor glitch you can do where you can get the fire rod to hit things from a distance it's not supposed to with the splash damage. There's a couple different ways to set it up, but Problems, if he's going to do it, will probably throw a block into the void here. If not, then we're just going to get a pretty standard room here.
Yeah, looks like Problem's not going for it today. That's fine. Perfectly okay. I do think we'll see it from at least one of our runners here. I'd be surprised if we don't.
Yeah, it's if you know how to do this setup, it's a 10-second time save. So that's something that we found out about this year, actually. Discovered in small part with help from one of our community's own, Raspberry Floof, who you've probably seen track a few of the races in the spring tournament. Trying to figure out what was going on with some weird things with Cold Stare, with fire rod shots not hitting correctly, and one thing led to another. We find out that birds have altitudes, and it's complicated, but the game's weird, man. That's my explanation.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair explanation.
Looks like you were right, though, Bo. It's gonna be.
Yeah, even without Silver Arrows, probably the more convenient way to get rid of all these eyes and the big eye in the end.
Yeah, if we had the Tempered Sword, I would definitely do deboost strats here, but almost dodging the lightning. And then, of course, we finish it off with a nice solid 8 arrows right to the eyeball.
Yeah, leaving Problems with only 2 arrows left, almost like you wanted.
Well, it feels a little late in the seed, but Gamer Cal is going to activate that flute at 1 hour and 28 minutes in. It's got to be a pretty sour note.
Yeah, you're definitely not happy about that. On the other hand, he's probably going to be pretty happy about finding that Ice Rod very soon and then being in go mode, knowing that all he has to do is Misery Mire and turn rock.
And while that would put him about a dungeon behind Problems IRL right now, Ganon's Tower, lots of things can go wrong, so it's not like that's insurmountable. There's
still a chance for things to change for sure.
The real question is, though, is there a chance for that bird to hit the water?
Probably not on Cal's side. I think he's too far away for that. He doesn't want to waste that kind of time.
Oh, that's 0 for 2 so far. I'm not impressed. Maybe ACMLM will change things up and give us a fence dash just to kind of round things out. Somebody's got to show some swag. See, that's what happens when there's money on the line. Nobody wants to do the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, who can really blame him, but it's a little sad for us, for sure.
Yeah, so every little bit of time save our runners will take, you know, not picking up extra rupees, not picking up extra stuff. But it does take a little bit of fun out of the. Well, that's one thing I really like about A Link to the Past too. If you haven't played the game a lot, or if it's been a while, I would say that Link is a pretty expressive character as far as your movement goes. You can really kind of flesh out your own personality through how you control Link, and that's one thing I've really loved about this game. You'll see everybody does everything a little bit differently, and that's a unique thing about the speedrun, as well as randomizer racing, of course.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with the sprite choices, and as you were saying, the movement and the expression that Link and all the sprites as a result have from that, you can really kind of, you know, tell the character of a runner. I almost want to say it's just kind of shows who's playing. Everyone has their little quirks and things they like to do. So it looks to me like Cal decided to go into Misery Mire before checking the shed, so he'll be out of that go mode knowledge and will probably check out everything in here. As far as I remember from problems, that's not a bad thing because you have to anyway. But
it'd be so close.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. It's just, you know, that piece of information where, you know, okay, now I'm in go mode, just like Gem just figured out.
It would be pretty rough if GamerCal forgot that that shed was there, or thought he already checked it, though. That would be catastrophic.
That would definitely be a real kick in the gut, but I think, or at least I hope, that he's saving Checkerboard and the Mire Shed for after he's done here.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about being the only person in the race who has all 3 medallions. You don't really have to, you know, check to see what the medallion is. You can just run right up to the door. You know you can open it. So that may have influenced his decision not to check shed right away. We are coming up on the back half of Turtle Rock pretty fast here for problems. Going to be hitting that basement in just a few more screens. And that will be the last crystal dungeon, which is a rather quick turnaround for what this seed started off as. We're a good half an hour almost in before we found our first crystal.
Yeah, and especially considering for problems, you know, especially who started out not having too much luck and kind of going to the wrong places at the wrong time, but then he made that one pod decision and boom.
Alrighty, so we're coming up on yet another moment of truth. We're going to find out if GamerCal's feels spooky. It's not quite October yet, but there's a chance we could do some things in the dark that are, well, not in the dark, but do some things from a distance that are kind of perplexing if you've never seen this game before. I'm just amped to talk about it every time. Sometimes, like, you just don't see it at all, but anytime you can talk about new speed tech, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks funny and it's great and it saves you a lot of time. So I won't be surprised. Since you got the fire rod out here, we'll have to see. Shoots up, shoots the spike.
I don't believe he did the setup, but yeah, there was no setup initially, so we're gonna have to just hit the switch normally.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead. I was just saying he spent a lot of magic trying to do that and didn't really get anything for it.
That's a really good point. If we were going to try and use any kind of invincibility item, say like the Cane of Burna in the fight, that would be rough. But as far as what we're talking about with this whole spooky stuff, you can trick the game into thinking the Fire Rod splash damage has an altitude. You can do this by either like throwing a block in a hole or having the duck leave the screen from the flute. And you store that value for later, and you can hit switches literally through walls. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of back-end stuff behind it, but if you're interested in more stuff like glitch hunting and kind of getting a sense of how this all works in the back end, there is the Link to the Past SRL server that you can join, which has a glitch hunting channel. For those of you out there who are all about that.
Oh, and I think Gem has finally given us a little spooky action here. There we go.
Nails it.
And that's, as you can see, saves you a whole ton of time. You don't have to hit the first switch, you don't have to bomb open the wall, hit the second switch, go through a bunch of room transitions, all that stuff. You can just walk straight through the whole thing.
Yeah, so about 10 seconds or so, you know, whenever you can pull that off successfully. Despite Master Sword, a pretty smooth-looking, you know, Trinex here. Having a menu to hammer, despite, you know, having a couple of extra cycles and ice on the floor, not dying is a pretty good thing to be doing here.
Oh, and Cal mirror bonking there, a little unfortunate. Alright, so Cal and Gem both really pretty damn close together. As Problems picks up his last crystal, and it's going to make his way over to GT now, the first one in GT over featured runners here.
Wow, you're not kidding. They're really frame by frame almost. Or they were until Dead Rocks happened in Space Cabbage.
Good old cabbages.
Well, Problems will be the first on our side, or at least that we can see, to head into Ganon's Tower. You know, of course, left-right gambles potentially being of value here. We'll find out pretty quickly whether or not that's even possible. Sometimes you can't do it at all. But that will pretty much be the last chance besides execution to diverge for our runners. So it becomes just a straight race from then through.
Yeah, really at this point, I think something pretty massive would have to go wrong for Problems to lose his first place spot, at least amongst the featured runners here. We're not quite sure what else is going on, but you know, from what we can see here, he is definitely ahead.
Well, to the right side we go. I'm going to try to get all the items that you can get very quickly here. If you're going to go all the way to the Ice Armos fight immediately, this would actually be the fastest way to get there as well.
Yeah, this right side play has really, I want to say, come into fashion a whole while ago because, you know, you get to these 4 chests here relatively quickly, and it's a quick check. It might be here. If it's not, you're not losing a whole lot of time. And if you go left side first and it ends up being here, you're taking a long time to check back here.
And hey, Problems did find the Bug Net of Evil's Bane as well, so that's always a bonus.
Getting all the items we need.
Sometimes you just gotta bring an actual net to Ganon Volleyball.
Oh man, and Gem and Cal still pretty neck and neck. Gem is losing a little bit of time here and there. Had a little bit of bad luck with the roller blocking him from going into the big key door. But they're really not giving each other a whole lot here.
No, it's pretty crazy how, despite this being one of the more challenging dungeons of the game, that they can keep so close together at this point. Every little bit counts, you know, I mean, you want to place above as many people as you can, so to lose, say, by a couple seconds would be a pretty rough blow. Ooh, Problems IRL has found that third sword, or fourth on our side. That is clutch.
Oh, that's a really nice find. That's going to make the Ganon fight so much more bearable.
Yeah, so silver's not necessarily important at this point, but never hurts.
I mean, if they're on the way now, might as well grab them, right?
Absolutely. We're going to see some pretty fast Trinexes here, though. Front door strat, so not the fastest they can be, but... Yeah, you said neck and neck. This is probably the best, most appropriate way to say that, right? Or most appropriate time for that.
Yeah, I like that. And look at the synced up ice floors that we get as well. This is so close together. I think Cal is a little bit ahead.
This boss looks like it's having a bad day. Maybe it needs an icy hot patch on its neck and neck and neck.
Oh man, they kill it at the same time. Look at that sync. I'm amazed.
Oh, that's like 2 frames away.
Now look at them both getting their hook shots out. Oh man, this is beautiful.
Well, and then of course, if you were looking at Misery Meyer here for ACMLM, you also see his spooky setup, so he should be able to do that as well. Ooh, there's the Divergence. Gem pulls off the hook dash, and Gamer Cal does not, so that's actually a little bit of separation there.
Yeah, nice little time save here, putting Gem ahead a tiny bit. I mean, still not really any significant difference, but geez.
Yeah, if you're a fan of fast strats and seeing things look like a speed run, Gan's Tower is your place. Oh, those are the silvers right before Ice Armos.
Wow, problems. I mean, come on, man. You were already super ahead. Was that really necessary?
Clutch Master Flex over here. I mean, that's as good as it gets. Well, everyone needs to thank Bob and appreciate Bob for his contributions today. Unfortunately, oh, okay, it was the last chest before Tile Room, thankfully.
Man, the very last chest before Tile Room. How insane is that? Oh, and we see Cal going for the left side, not for the right side, which will pay off big time for him.
Yeah, this GT climb with silvers, with red mail, with 17 hearts, and tempered sword. This is, and not only that, but mirror shield. Like, even if you had fireballs to contend with in the Lamolus fight, this is about as cozy of a finish as it gets, and this almost looks like a 100% race. Yeah,
I mean, it's really as close as it gets. As you can see on Cal's side, he has finished absolutely every dungeon. Gem has only neglected to pick up the medallion that Moldorn dropped. He also killed the boss, so this might as well have been an all-dungeon seed or 100% seed.
All this path through the gauntlet looking pretty smooth for problems right now, despite, well, up until the Stalfos there. That Stalfos gave him a lot of trouble, but certainly in a good position as long as we don't take too much damage to get through the rest of this without any major problems.
Yeah, and I think he's still got that blue pot and soar.
I believe so. I don't think we used that on Cold Stare.
So he really should not be in any kind of worry about dying or anything like that. The silvers he just found also going to come in very handy on that Landmo 2 fight that we're about to head in. Yeah, but decides to save up on his arrows. Only got 6 left. He's still got to shoot 4 of those at Ganon.
Yeah, that's a laggy kill, but, you know, lag notwithstanding, he does save that for Ganon. That's a pretty shrewd decision to make. And pretty low on magic, too. We'll have enough with the pots that you can pick up in the next room to do lamp strats, but it's going to be pretty tight unless we decide to use a potion.
Yeah, looks like he's realizing that as well.
And I'm pretty sure you have to fall off the ledge here to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, now all that's left is to not despawn the tower.
I think with a full magic pickup here, he's going to spend enough time to not be in any danger of that.
I suppose you only have to see it once. Rip Parisian player.
Oh boy.
I mean, I saw that in NMG race a couple times too, so I mean, it can happen in any version of this game, unfortunately.
Yeah,
actually, I'm not sure if that's patched out in 1.1 or 1.2.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. But that's definitely something, regardless of what kind of game or game mode I guess you're playing for Link to the Past, you definitely don't want to see that ever, basically.
And to kind of clarify what we're talking about, if you were to enter the staircase leading up to the second torch room that we just saw problems go through, if you enter it at the same time that the door behind you closes, you will despawn every sprite in the tower, and you will no longer be able to complete the dungeon. Pretty frustrating.
Yeah, even if you manage to hover over that last gap behind Moldorm 2 and make it all the way to Aga 2, he wouldn't be there either, so you wouldn't be able to finish the game at all.
Well, it's time for that Aghanim 2 fight. Problems IRL will be the first one into the Ganon fight, and assuming no death here, you know, here on the featured side of things. We need to hit him 6 times. We only saw the Aghanim 1 fight on ACMLM's side. This is very similar, besides the fact that these 2 after images will always shoot reflective shots. And the regular Aghanim has a 50-50 chance of blue ball attacks. However, this is set RNG for both this fight and Ganon, so presuming nobody dies, we'll all have identical fights.
Yeah, and Problem's not getting a great pattern here. This one looks a lot better. Gets the final 2 shots in, finally getting a little bit trolled by the blue walls there in the positioning in the beginning, but makes it through just fine.
You know, all things considered, I'm actually pretty impressed by ACMLM's time saves here, making it all the way to Ganon's Tower before Problems IRL drops in on the Ganon fight, which was a 2 dungeon advantage prior, so I'm pretty floored by that, actually.
Oh yeah, he did an absolutely amazing job catching up here. I mean, considering how many mishaps he had, or I wouldn't even call them mishaps, just unfortunate choices of where to go next. He picked up the pace really nicely at the end there, and he's already in Ganon's Tower now with 2 of our other players who are admittedly in the gauntlet already, but still, that's a crazy amount of time to make up for.
Well, we're rapidly approaching the end of the Ganon fight here from Problems IRL, having pretty smooth, looked like 1+1 cycle, I believe. He took some damage, so might have missed an opportunity there, but moving into the 3rd phase and 4th phase shortly, we do have the silvers, so this will be a very fast kill.
Yeah, once you get past the 2nd phase, there should be absolutely no worry anymore. There he goes, gets the first one in, and shoots his fire archer, gets the torch glitch. Oh, this looks good. 1, 2, 3, there we go. Nice triple at the end there.
That was crispy. And as we enter in the Triforce room, that will be the finish. Problems IRL here. I'm looking for him on IRC right now. Finishing with the 147.51 on the restream side.
Yeah, his finishing time on SRL was 157.52, 47.52, excuse me. Also managing to finish 1st place overall, even with the runners not featured on stream currently. So GG to him, and congrats on winning this race. He did leave a little dot comment there saying comeback of the century, which I think we can all agree on, right?
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
I mean, considering how it started out for him, he was definitely behind at the beginning for quite a while, and then, boom, that pod plate turned everything around.
Yeah, that was an amazing, and we saw the swing, happen live on our side. It's just an absolute, just going to pod, just going to, 1 or 2 locations did it.
Yeah, it looks like Problem's all ready here to give us a little post-game interview, so just let me drag him in and we'll get to see what he has to say about the seed. Hey there, Problems. GG and congrats on winning this one. I think your comment on SRL is pretty much a perfect explanation of what happened.
It felt pretty spot on. I mean, I don't know what the other guys did, but I have a pretty good idea. So I feel like I lucked out pretty hard on this one after I messed up early game. I was ready to forfeit 25 minutes in.
Yeah, I can imagine. It looked pretty bad for you there in the beginning, but yes. The big turnaround play for you was going into pod when you did. Probably. Because you were the first one to go into pod from all the people featured on the restream. Yeah, that's and after Desert Palace, pod was an absolute progression explosion.
Yes, there was like everything, and after pod I decided, hey, I'm probably still behind actually, so I went to Swamp. I mean, I did Ice first, and then I went to Swamp. And then I found that flute, and suddenly it dawned on me, okay, everyone's going to be looking for that flute. I assume that was everyone's go mode, looking back at the scene.
No,
so that's
really?
Really?
Well, it would have been Ice Run afterwards, but yeah, pretty much everybody was looking for that to get to that point.
Yes, that makes sense. It was basically, for most people, I would assume, people did basically everything before going to pod. Because that had flippers and hammer, which is super inconvenient. And then it's kind of like searching for a needle in the haystack once you have that hammer. And that was made a lot easier for me because it just pointed towards Swamp the way I routed the seed.
I also want to cut in really quick, give a GG to Cal, who is now also finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour 50 minutes and 17 seconds in second place. And Gem also GG, just now finishing with a time of 1 hour 51 minutes and 6 seconds. He was just sniped by Mr. Fred Coughlin, the maker of the Zelda 1 randomizer, by a couple of seconds, who was not featured on stream today. So Problems, our first place winner, GamerCal, our second place, and Fred Coughlin, our third place, Gem overall, fourth place in this race.
And it looks like we're joined by a couple people. GG and congratulations to both GamerCal and Gem.
Meow. That's all I can say to that. So if Problems was going to forfeit 25 minutes in, I was strongly considering it after TR was nothing, like at the hour sort of 20 mark. Because, yeah, I took the shot between TR and Swamp, and I figured, TR with the flute would make total sense here. And I was wrong, and it was the God TR, which I haven't seen in like 7 million versions.
Yes, that TR was actually godly.
It actually was, because it was the only time since about V23, I think, since I've seen a TR which was only keys at the front.
Yes, you could safely not go to the big chest. I've never seen that before, actually.
And you could skip Laser Bitch.
Yes.
This used to happen a lot in like V18 and whatnot, but I have not seen it in like 5 versions. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no, if this doesn't turn out to be anything, I am completely hosed here.
I actually did go to Laser Bridge because I was on second sword still.
Yeah, okay. That would make sense, yeah.
I do want to quickly mention that Problems. I'm not sure how you managed it, but you managed to dodge a sword for like an hour and 10 minutes or something. Everyone else was like, I'm tempered sword and stuff, and you're like, nope, I'm swordless, I'm killing Coldster swordless, I don't want a sword, nope, don't give me a sword.
That's a sword.
Just what makes this victory so impressive is, you did a lot of these fights that other, like Helmasaur, you did that swordless. Nobody else had any of that, I don't think.
The seed basically boiled down for me to the fact that I went to desert twice early because I decided to leave after mids. And then I'm like, okay, I'm so far behind now when I found that moon pearl. I essentially went to Dark World and I was like, okay, what is the dumbest thing I could possibly do now? And then I came out with ice and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not that dumb. And then I finally settled for pod. And I found the hammer really early, and it kind of just pulled me away from all those swords. I eventually found the first sword at the southern mirror ledge, and I was like, oh god, everyone must have had that for like 45 minutes or so.
That was my second sword. I don't remember where the first one was, but it was before Dark World, I'm pretty sure.
We had one sword in the Sacred Grove.
Yeah.
We had one sword in Ganon's Tower. We had a third sword on Moldorm. And the fourth sword was...
Moldorm? Oh my god. Yeah. That's another thing I did. I went to Hera without a weapon, so I couldn't kill Moldorm.
Oh, dang.
Just had to leave.
Yeah. See, I had the Fame Master Sword when I got up there. I don't remember where the first one was, because I did get all the other ones. By the way, you've been pretty quiet here, Jem, but I see on your tracker on Restream you have Gold Sword, and I am very disappointed in you. What is this pendant Hera that you've done here?
I did TR and then I went to Moldon to look for the ice rod. Like, I left my portal on Laser Bridge, so get back in really quickly.
I also want to quickly ask you guys, how do you feel about saving and quitting after picking up the bow from the desert ledge and then going, oh wait, Lamolus has no moon pearl?
I felt strongly disagree.
I was never gonna skip after seeing that. Like, I wanted to go desert straight away, right? Because I knew the book was gonna lead to something, and I could theoretically clear it. But I was like, if I'm going for a pendant dungeon here, I'm going, especially green pendant, I want to make absolute sure that I can do it first. So going to escape, getting the boots like 12 minutes in, thinking, well, Gem's probably had those since the start of the game, so that's not a good start. But whatever. Yeah.
Gem doesn't do Uncle Road, I don't think. Somebody probably did Uncle Road.
I thought the same thing.
Yes. The same thing for me. It's like, oh, somebody lucked out the seed.
Yeah, so, doing the escape stuff, it's like, well, now I definitely can clear it because I've got a fire rod lamp, I've got the glove, because I had all of that stuff before going to escape. So, like, now I definitely can clear it. Gonna commit to this, like, oh, bow there is pretty good. Oh, Titan's that's quite nice. There's an item still on Lambo, and it's green pendant. Well, I'm not leaving this behind, so I went for it, and I juggled with that, and then I went straight for Eastern after that, and got the hook shot from the green pendant. I was just like, oh yes, okay, this is actually quite a good start now.
That hook shot, that was really the cherry on top of everything. I mean, as if Desert wasn't crazy enough already, then that old man gives you the hook shot for the green pendant.
Right? It's like 4 possible items in that area, and all 4 of them were hot fire. It's like, since when does that happen?
Yeah, I got that hook shot on my way to pod, and I thought it's all over.
Yeah, dude, same. When I saw that hook shot, I was like, okay, I can't go to Death Mountain now. If there's something, I'll lose anyway.
Yeah, chat's telling me that's where the sword was.
Everything was good.
That was my last possible option to go there, but I wanted to make absolute sure that was what the seed was requiring of me. And it's like, well, okay, I've done Thieves Town and I got all the items. There was nothing there. Well, let's just do the water walk then.
Well, guys, I also want to give a quick shout out to ACM, who has now also finished. Let me go get his official SRL time real quick. He finished in 6th place overall with a time of 1 hour 56:43, and as we were saying earlier, he definitely picked up a lot of time at the end there. I mean, he was nearly 2 dungeons behind, I believe, and he caught up so much that he managed to enter GT while you guys were in the gauntlet, Gem and Game of Cal, so he picked up a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. ACM is an absolute master of execution, so although with the exception of Hammer Yump, I don't think I did too badly myself in this one. I was really happy with my play overall. Definitely only really Hammer Yump that I ended up giving up on because of like, whatever, I don't need to do this. It probably would have helped to, but I didn't need to do it, so I was like, well, just who cares? It's not working today. So, but yeah, other than that, I was really happy with the way everything went in this one. Bit disappointed at seeing the gold sword in GT, I will admit, because I was like, well, everybody's going to have tempered sword now, so nah. No edge for me doing pendant hero, but hey.
Finally, that temper sword really, really felt good for me. And then the silver showed up too, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because the one thing that was decent for me this is, because I got the book before doing Kakariko, I was able to check the pedestal, see that it was nothing before actually going elsewhere. So when it came to, had to get an item off a Moldom, that's fine. I don't need the pendant from there, so just save quit after that. The same with Argus, because I went and killed him just in case the Ice Rod was there. Wasn't going to take that. I did skip left side, but I wasn't going to take the shot of, well, I don't want to come all the way back through the dungeon twice, basically, if it turns out that I messed myself up here. But it is what it is. I'm actually really surprised that I'm not, massively far down in this one.
I actually did the left side.
Oh, see, I was thinking of doing it. I was so close to doing it because I was like, what could possibly bring me back into this now that I've wasted so much time in TR? Left side swap. I'm not that stupid. I'm going for the back first. Come on.
Yeah, I did back and then left side. Because 3 items, man, I'm not dealing that.
Yeah, same. But I also went there super early, so I was still missing like half the items.
I was going to say, what was the other item you were missing then, Gem? Because it was flute and ice
rod. Ice rod, like flute led to ice rod.
Yeah. But you said 3 items, so I was thinking, was there another one that you were missing, or was it just that?
3 items in the dungeon, I mean.
Oh, in the dungeon, right, yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Well, guys, I think it's fair to say that it was a pretty amazing showing from all of you. I don't think execution-wise any of you embarrassed yourself in any way, shape, or form. Once again, it came down to correct and incorrect decisions, as is often the case in Rando.
Yeah, and the fun thing is, with it being Randomizer, it's not always the correct choice. It could be next seed that water walking is completely useless, but this time it was a very nice time save.
It was a really nice time save. I basically, after I had all these blunders in Light World and found the Moon Pearl in the last possible spot, I just beelined to pod and paid off really big.
That's alright, though. We won't have seen everything until we see Bomb end up winning somebody a match at some point. Crazy pyramid logic. That'll happen, I swear, someday.
One of these days I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna pay off, and it's gonna be amazing. Just you wait.
I was really, really hoping at the start of the seed with the items that you guys found that we're going to see another bomb and kind of Burnell land Molus, but then you had to go and find a glove. So that ruined everything.
Well, I'm definitely excited to see the rest of the qualifiers here. I believe that most of you have already done one already. Is that correct?
Yeah.
This is my first, actually.
Oh, nice. Well, what a way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know I've played one of her, and I know Jem is in that one, and he did really well with that one. It was the big 34-person one last Saturday. I think you came second, Jem, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was either 6th or 7th. I don't remember which thing out of that. So I was only going to do this one and expected to do really badly, seeing who was here, and then, just go, well, I'll just commentate from here on out. Now I've got to choose, though, because this was actually a decent result. So I don't know at this point. I guess I forget which one the next one is, if it's like Monday, I think, because I'm commentating tomorrow, and then Sunday I'm not playing because I have plans. I'll have to see what the schedule's like for the others, but I might actually have to play another one at this point and see how it goes.
I'm just glad there's 24 races, chance to both cast and play.
I'm looking forward to the next one, although I doubt I'm going to get as lucky again.
Well, you never know.
Well, I don't know how much luck is involved when collection rates are north of 160 and 170, but...
Goodness.
nevertheless, I'm sure everybody here will be very excited to see all of you, race again. And great time to remind everybody, these guys put on a fantastic show for us today. Definitely should show them some love and send them a follow, because there's going to be a lot more coming from all of them, whether it's Link to the Past or any other content they make.
Yeah, I can really only agree with that. These guys, as I said earlier, deserve all the support they can get, and they put on a great showing. So thanks all of you for letting us show you guys off on stream. You put on a pretty amazing performance with a pretty interesting seed, I would say. And GG to all of you again.
Thanks. I'll have to watch this one back, because with just looking at the very end of this with the getting Calvo player here, this is quite humbling to say the least.
You're gonna get mad at me if you rewatch this.
You know what? I probably will, but it's okay. I forgive you in advance.
Aww.
It's alright, there's still a chance for revenge if Herfy ends up joining any other races.
Alright, I think that's gonna do it for us for now. So thanks again for watching, guys. Thanks again to these guys. And of course, also a big shout out to Fiesel and Speed Gaming at large for putting all this on, putting up the prize money, organizing this and everything. And last but not least, big thanks to both of our trackers, Yoinker's wife and Cassidy Moen, for keeping track of all these items. It's not always easy with the speed that these guys go through the seeds.
And with so many things to watch, it's hard enough to even talk about the game, but trying to actually get all this stuff down and make sure that all of you in the audience can get a clear vision of what's going on. Very underrated thing, volunteer time to be spending. Also want to echo the same sentiments. Thank you folks for tuning in and for checking us out, watching this race, and thank you to the runners for putting on the show. I had a blast. Looking forward to casting more of these races, and I hope that all of you are looking forward to watching more of them. You can catch them all here in the Speed Gaming family networks, likely probably this channel, but Speed Gaming 2 through 6 also on the menu as well, if you're looking to catch all of the races of this tournament. And of course the 8-person bracket, when it does come time to put up or purse up, make some money. That being said, though, I think that's just about it for everything here. Any final words out there? Anybody want to say any shout-outs to their fans?
Hi, Mom.
I just want to say shout-outs to Fred, because the last one of these that I saw as well, he placed really well in that one. So Fred's putting in a really good show here.
Yeah, Fred's tearing it up. I mean, he's doing a good job. He managed to snipe Gem. Just so I think it's like less than 10 seconds or something.
Oh yeah, pour salt in the wound.
I mean, you brought him up. I didn't want to mention him at all. Aw, I still love you, Gem. You know that.
If only I'd hit that last arrow on Amos.
Alright guys, so again, thanks for watching. Thanks for letting us show you off on stream, and I hope everyone has a great night. We'll catch you on the next one.
Everyone, we'll see you next mission.